Bottom left.
Hello. Welcome in stormy, blizzardy Netherlands. Or I should say, oh hi. I should be visible, I should be audible, I should be all the things that you want in a stream to make sure it works. What the fuck? Oh, again, right, I would get an ad on my own stream, wouldn't I? That's fantastic. Just setting up here for the last bits. Get some Dutch ads, why not? Just setting up here for the last bits. Okay, I'll get to hear that my ads were coming through there for a second. Welcome in today. We're basically doing VS Code. VS Code has notebooks. Notebooks are a thing that VS Code does, given it's like sort of a Swiss Army knife of doing a whole bunch of different things all together. So that is good, and we're going to look at those today. We've looked at Jupyter Notebooks 2 weeks ago, and then Google Colab last week, and then this week is going to be VS Code with maybe some extra bits towards the end, because I don't think we have a whole lot to go over here with VS Code Notebooks. So we'll see how we do. It's stormy and it's thundery here today. There's a lot of wind, rain, and thunder happening, so if you hear some of that bleeding through into the recording, consider it some extra ambience. Why not? So, full disclosure, I haven't done a huge lot of prep for this stream, and I have not done that because I was intending to look at some of the help resources as we're going. That's pretty important, given, you know, if you're using an editor that's not normally meant for this purpose, you need to sort of be able to figure out what's what. Like, you need to know how things work. And I kind of want to be that person that doesn't really know how things work yet and just sort of wants to use the resources that exist for that. So in a moment, I'm going to put VS Code on screen. I'm just going to go look at how hard this would be. Like, from a I know VS Code a little bit standpoint, we're just going to see how we do. We may have to install extensions or like Python runtimes and things of that nature, but you're going to have to do that when you set up anyway. So let's see how we do here. Let me capture VS Code, because right now you guys can't see shit. Let me see here. Oh, I see that the restream bot's not working either. Let me turn that on real quick, so if people on YouTube say something, we'll actually see it. If people on YouTube were talking, now we can see your chats. I'm so sorry if we missed you. Let me see if we missed anything. Doesn't look like it. Nope. It's nice and quiet. Uh-oh. Someone's knocking at the door. Yes. Oh no. My production assistant told me that Firebot's not working, so let's fix Firebot. Oh, yeah, I would have done that. I switched the profile over, but never connected it. Connected. Hello. Firebot's fixed. Alright. So now people send stuff, you'll hear the noises and the chats will come in. Let me see what we missed on the little dindy dandy handy dandy chat message window in Twitch. That is a helpful thing to have from time to time. What we missed is Crescent says, oh hi. Oh hello. Welcome, 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 and appreciate that little pointer right there. Got chat going, this is good. Alright, so VS Code. I was gonna put that on the stream. On the screen, on the stream. Very nice. Let's see, I literally have a
video game?
Hey, follower. Thank you so much for the follow. XD3 Bug. Thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate that. Where are you hailing from and how did you find me, person? This is, I'm pretty sure I haven't seen you before, so welcome in, welcome in. Let's see, VS Code, where is VS Code? There it is, empty field of VS Code. And it's raining down like crazy here. I was gonna walk around a little bit with my guide dog, but I've decided that maybe not to do that. There's also a pop-up about an update. We'll get rid of that real quick. We'll get it later. None of the updates in this. Actually, is that right? Let me look at the release notes real quick, because I'm actually not sure if any of this matters. No, nothing for notebooks, so it should be fine. Let me close this. There. So let me look at Zoom. Looks like we're at level 5 of Zoom. If that's too small for some people or too large, please let me know. I can fix it. But for the moment, we seem to be doing just fine. Another thing I have open here in this workspace is a little diff viewer thing, because that's something that, honestly, diff for a blind person is not something that we've properly solved yet. It's a whole entire thing. So we may do that after this, just as a little bit of a freebie. I do want to do like a whole dev tools on Windows and dev tools on Mac thing at some point, but that's not really part of this thing. What we want to do today is look at notebooks from a VS Code perspective. So that's what we're going to try to do. Now, if I am a somewhat InfoSec streams, very good. So InfoSec, let me give you a bit of an introduction to this channel. Basically, what this channel is like, it's in the panels too, but let me just talk it. I do InfoSec stuff primarily. Like, I've been sort of veering off it a little bit as of late, but I do definitely do a lot of InfoSec stuff. So think Try Hack Me, Hack the Box Academy. I want to cover Portswigger Academy at some point. We did a whole series on Burp Suite. My specific gimmick, though, is that I am fully blind. I don't use a screen. I don't use any kind of monitor or anything of the sort. I use a screen reader, which is a tool that essentially text-to-speech is everything happening on the screen, which sort of kind of sounds like this. But that the entire day long, and essentially that's what I do. I have that on, and I basically just use that to do all these things. So yeah, we did Burp Suite, we did Try Hack Me. We're gonna do some more Try Hack Me soon, because I want to finish up that junior pentester path. And today we're finishing up a series on Jupyter Notebooks, which is data science. Like last year, if you did the Advent of Cyber stuff on Try Hack Me, there was a lot of like hubbub about machine learning and data science, and it does come up in particularly blue teaming as well. What you see is that a lot of blue teaming tools use a lot of, data that's been scraped from all sorts of places, and that can be an SIEM, but it can also be something like this, like a notebook, which has like Python that you can use on the data to find patterns and such. So it's tangentially related to InfoSec for sure, but it also is just its own thing, where we mostly see it in machine learning, data science, AI, and just programming in general, really. Let me see. So what I was gonna do actually is we have the scenario of we know VS Code a tiny bit. Cool, awesome. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I love having you here. Definitely spread this around if you think there's other people who might want to see this. I always want to grow my audience, not for the money, just because I can help more people that way. Because I do these streams one way to create awareness, but to create awareness on how bad some of the tooling is. But I also want to make sure that I can teach and educate people. So, like I said, if you know someone who you reckon might be helped by this, definitely send them my way. If not, no problem whatsoever. I'm glad to have you. More and more rain's coming down. That's fun. In any case, what we're doing today is, like I said, notebooks in VS Code. So if you're in VS Code, we know a little bit about the editor. We know that you can use it. And the accessibility use case for this is often that people say that the accessibility in notebooks for VS Code tends to be better than the alternatives. So we did Colab last week and the original Jupyter Notebook interface 2 weeks ago. And people say this is the best of the bunch. So what you'll probably do if like you're a beginner at this is you'll download VS Code, you might like read a little bit about it, and then you just might want to just go start doing stuff. And really what that means in this case is that you download it, you don't know what this all is, you just want to make sure that you can do it. So what I think the first thing you would try is to just go into the command palette. Let me send speech through at this point slowed down so you can hear it. Oh.
Untitled 1, test folder 2, Visual Studio Code. Untitled 1, test folder 2.
So we open the command palette with F1.
Type the name of a command to run. List help, list signal announcements, recently used 1 of 1407.
Okay, so if we were to type notebook, what's going to happen? I do...
10 results.
Full disclosure, I do have the Python extension installed. I forget if that's a prerequisite. If it is, you might need to install the Python extension for VS Code first. That's just a few clicks away. It generally isn't very hard to do. You just go to the extensions thing, search for it, and install it. Might have to restart. And obviously, if you're going to use Python, the extension, all it does is it talks to Python on your system. So if you don't have that, it's going to warn you and tell you, hey, you need to install Python first, or at least select an interpreter if you have multiple ones. It might do that here too. We'll have to see what it does when I make a new notebook. So it looks like there's a GitHub Copilot command for it. That's not what we want right now, because that is like KI stuff that we're not using today. But we can create a new Jupyter notebook, and it calls itself a Jupyter notebook. It's not going to be the same interface as the Jupyter one.
Developer, clear notebook editor, type cache, other commands 2 of 10.
And then there's other things you can do here. Developer, clear the cache, you can clear the kernels, MRU, whatever the hell that means. I'm just a new user. I don't know what all this stuff means.
Toggle notebook clipboard troubleshooting.
Toggle notebook clipboard troubleshooting. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we don't need. So what I'm going... Oh, you can import. That's important. You can import an existing one. You may have gotten something from, say, university class or something that has this stuff in it, and you want to look at it in an accessible manner. You could do that here. You could import a Jupyter notebook, probably an IPYNB format that you can just plug in here.
Import notebook to script 7 of 10.
Not sure what that would do. I'm guessing that runs an NB convert behind the scenes, so we'll have to see.
Notebook, customized notebook layout 8 of 10.
Don't think we'll be touching that.
Toggle notebook sticky scroll 9 of 10.
And the sticky scroll I don't think we'll need either. So let's just make a new notebook first and foremost here.
1 of 10. Untitled 1, test folder 2, Visual Studio Code document, toolbar, more actions, menu, collapse, submenu.
Okay, so I dumped us on the execute above cells button first and foremost. Let's scroll up a little bit to see what we got here.
Out of tool, select kernel. Out of toolbar, menu, collapse, submenu, more actions. Run all. Checkbox marked, add code, out of Windows screen reader optimized. Windows zoom. So
what I can see is that everything notebook is like appended to the DOM of this particular web application. I have thoughts about that, but it tends to be how some of these things get loaded in, so all right.
There's an update available. Visual Studio.
There's an update, we're not going to do that, and then we have this first thing is add code cell. So there's a button.
Add markdown cell. Markdown.
Or add markdown cell, and add code cell. I'm a little off by the fact that we have that markdown and code label right here. Looks like there's an ARIA label on these buttons, but it's also just still using the textual labels, which is kind of odd. How does that work with tab? Let's find out.
Toolbar, execute above cells. Add code cell. Document, note, untitled 1.if, test folder.
Yeah, add code cell.
Toolbar, execute above cells. Add code, add markdown cell. Add code cell. Add markdown
Okay.
cell, cell 0, code cell.
One thing I don't love here is that we have
Toolbar, select
buttons here in a
Toolbar.
list that you can sort of arrow towards. Oh, okay, it's a toolbar. So it kind of tells you, you're meant to know as a screen reader user that a toolbar goes a certain way. So you place buttons on a toolbar, and they're either going to be horizontal or vertical. Usually they're horizontal.
Add markdown cell. Add code cell.
Not always, but
Add
usually
markdown
they're
cell.
horizontal. And you can use
Add
left and
markdown
right
cell.
arrow
Menu
keys to
select
go
menu.
through these buttons.
Revolve.
That is a pretty standard VS Code convention. So if you know that, you can now figure out that you can see all these buttons. If you don't know that though, let's just tab around here.
Status bar. Toolbar, add code cell.
So we're now on the add code cell button, the toolbar.
Toolbar, select kernel. Notebook use Alt plus F1 for accessibility.
And then there is one other button,
Toolbars.
the select kernel button, which is sort of a toolbar on its own. And then
Alt plus
the
F1 for-
cells. So you would be
Tool-
forgiven to think that all these buttons don't exist. A toolbar is one of those patterns that you'd think people were aware of by now, but they often aren't. They would not know to try the arrow keys here. So my suggestion here would be to the VS Code folks, and I might make an issue about this. Maybe give a little hint on the toolbar control that says, hey, use the arrow keys here. Which, this is always a difficult one, because on the one hand you have screen readers need to be fast, right? They need to say as little as possible to get you to do your job as fast as possible. The problem is that users have different kinds of needs for what they need. JAWS handles this by essentially just having different levels of tutorial verbosity. NVDA, don't really think it has that kind of concept. There's a couple things you can turn off and on, but in an application like this, you could add an aria described by on this button that says, on this toolbar really, that says use arrow keys to navigate. Honestly, I wouldn't know where that shows up in the role description name order in this case, because there's a button on a toolbar, but it's something to look into. So if we tab past this, let's first pick a kernel, because we should probably be doing that.
Type to choose a kernel source.
We have
Select
two
existing
kernel
Jupyter server.
options. We have existing Jupyter server,
environments, one of
or
them.
we have Python environments. I guess we want Python
Notebook
environments.
use Alt plus F1 for
And it looks like I have quite a few.
Python 3.11.7.
Let's set it to 3117, like the base Python that's made by Conda, it looks like. It's in C, Tools, Anaconda 3, Python.exe. Let's pick that one. That looks like a good content. Usually Conda is like a Python thing for machine learning and stuff, so that's pretty good. I got a firewall warning from that.
Show more.
We'll allow it for now. There we go. And now we're in the list of cells. So what does this read?
Notebook use Alt plus F1 for accessibility. Help list. Cell 0. Code cell 1 to 1 level 1.
So this is a list of cells right here. It also, it's a list view, so it says 1 of 1. Index out of maximum. Something I don't particularly care for all that much, but it is something that a lot of people use, so I'm glad it's here. Comes for free with list markup that they've used here. There's only one cell. Now, how would you see the contents of this cell? I'm guessing you tab?
Toolbar, execute above cells.
No.
Toolbar, delete cell, DD. Toolbar, execute cell, Control plus Alt plus Enter. Editor, content editor as autocomplete multi-line.
Okay, you tap towards it, and then here's the actual thing. Okay. So, right now we're stuck in the editor because we have tab B and indent. So I'm going to turn that off for a second.
Toolbar, execute.
And I can go back. All right, so it says, first thing it says to us, if we go into that list here.
Toolbar, exit, editor, content editor as autocomplete multi-line.
Okay.
Cell 0, code cell 1 to 1 level 1.
So you can get back to the outline view with escape, and if you tab a couple times, you go into the editor view. That way you can sort of bounce between almost like insert mode and navigation mode. It's not quite Vim, but it's close. Let's look at the accessibility help for this, because I am just floundering right now. I'm just sort of figuring out what works and what doesn't. Let's look how they themselves explain this. I'll read this out loud. Let the screen reader take a breather for a second here. It says, the notebook view is a collection of code and markdown cells. Code cells can be executed and will produce output directly below the cell. The edit cell command, enter, will focus on the cell inputs. Okay, so you don't have to hit the tab key. You can just press enter. That's a good idea. At that point, you have fewer key presses to press to get to that edit field. The quit edit command, escape, will set focus on the cell container. The default escape key may need to be pressed twice first. Exit. Okay, this is a bit written a little poorly. need to be pressed twice first. Exit the virtual navigation if active. So it says to exit. It's like I'm missing two there, a little prepositional thing. English teacher, oh no. Anyway, basically what this says is you can enter to edit a cell, escape to stop editing, which is, again, somewhat Vim-like. Except for Vim, you never know how to close it, so there's that. Anyway, then it says the focus output command. Focus in the cell's output. A control down arrow will set focus in the cell's output. So that's something I made a point of last week when we did collab. There wasn't really an easy way to quickly get to your output. Control down arrow apparently fixes that here. The focus next cell editor command, Control Alt page down, will set focus in the next cell's editor. Now what I'm seeing here is a lot of keystrokes to remember. You do obviously have the command palette in this case that you can use to make that easier. So far, they seem relatively... I'm going to assume, it's not mentioned here, but I'm going to assume that when you're in the cell output and you press Control Up, it takes you back to the editor. Maybe it doesn't. We'll see. Focus previous cell is going to be Control Alt Up, page up. Yep, that makes sense. Up and down arrows will also move focus between cells while focused on the outer cell container. Yeah, that's the list view that we saw. Execute cell commands. Control Enter executes the cell that currently has focus. Fair enough. The insert above command will create new empty cells. Code cells. Okay. No period there. Interesting. The change cell to code/markdown commands are used to switch between cell types. Doesn't look like these are currently mapped to anything, so that's kind of interesting. Now, let's run a cell here. Let's just try that out. I'll just run something simple, like print hello world or something. Print.
List item untitled 1.ipn test folder 2 Visual Studio Code document. Untitled 1.ipn test folder 2 Visual Studio Code document. Untitled 1.ipn test folder 2 Visual Studio Code document. Application notebook use Alt plus F1 for accessibility. Help list suggest list print 1 of 7.
So yeah, this right here where it says the things three times in a row, it's something that NVDA developers have been made aware of. I'm not sure if JAWS does this. I'd have to try that out, but NVDA developers are aware of this. And they're essentially saying won't fix because this is exactly what the ARIA spec wants it to do. Not loving that, to be fair. Like, I have a bit of a cheat in the sense that I can see what it's suggesting on the Braille display, so I usually just hit Control when this happens to make it shut the up. But yeah, it's kind of annoying.
Editor content editor as autocomplete multi-line print.
So if I now were to open the left bracket here, it's going to give us a parameter hint.
Star values object prints the values to a stream or the size.stout by default. Set an NDSP and NDSP string inserted between values. Default space and an NDSP and NDSP string appended.
Okay, kind of rough that it's showing these unescaped HTML entities here. I'll have to make a bug about that as well. Let's just do hello world, something simple. Yeah, end equals. I'm not really sure why it's doing that. Quote. We just have a quote. We don't actually need to type anything in here. We can just type whatever we want. So we'll do hello. Hello, I see null.
DTR inspect is in the accessible view, Alt plus F2.
So I have GitHub Copilot running, and it's suggesting me all sorts of things I can put in this string. The little noises that we're hearing, I'm assuming those are coming through. Those are like essentially suggestions telling me, hey, the AI is working. It wants you to do stuff. So if we now hit Control Enter, what's going to happen?
Cell 0, code cell 1 to 1, level 1, notebook cell completed.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome in. Let me just look at your name so I don't botch the pronunciation. You are Pressure Jaguar. Hello, Pressure Jaguar. Welcome in. You wanted to ask a networking question. Shoot. So we got a couple of things here. We got a couple of notifications, like sound audio keys. Yeah. Pin number. Wow, that's a question. Can I plug an Eero 6 Plus into an ONT modem from my FTTP firewall, or do I need to separate routers before I put bridge mode, before I connect my Mesh Eero? Why do you think you'd need a bridge moded router? Like, what are you trying to... That should just work from what I understand. It also depends on like just how you can route the traffic on your modem, if that's a thing you can do at all. But you should be fine. It should work, provided you have the modem actually connecting to stuff. I'd say give it a try and see where do a trace route once you have it all wired up and see if it even goes anywhere. And if not, you should be able to see from the logs what's happening. Their network is not my forte for sure. So, give it a try, but I'm not 100% sure if that's correct. Like, I'd have to look deeply into these devices in particular, because sometimes some routers can do some things and some things can't. But I'm pretty sure that should just work without a bridge mode router in between. So, yeah, give it a try. It should, yeah. It should be fine. The firewall... the firewall is running on a... I'm assuming the firewall is going to be running on a client that's connected to your Eero 6. So that has to go through your router first and foremost. So if you have your router neatly firewalled, then it shouldn't even reach your FTP firewall until you forward it through, at which point your firewall would kick in and make sure that only the ports that you want connected to will be connected to. You should be fine there. Let's see.
Speech mode talk.
Hey, no problem. Give it a try. Report back how it goes. If you're back any other time, feel free to zip by. We'll be doing more InfoSec related stuff again soon. Like from next week onwards, probably I'll be doing some more try hack me stuff again because I've been missing it. But yeah, today we're doing a bit more Python-y notebooky stuff. So yeah, definitely zip by again if you have more questions or if you want to just let us know how it went. I'm very curious. Let's see. It's so much water.
What is that, video game?
Perfect. Thank you so much, and I appreciate that follow. All right, let's see. What are we doing? Yeah. So we saw that the notebook cell completed, but we did not actually see the contents of it. Again, that is one of those things that I brought up last week in Google Colab's review as well. This is understandable, but for these short kinds of print messages, I kind of think I would like it to do that. However, that is a really slippery slope, because if it's too much content, you absolutely don't want that to happen. Let's try that control down arrow command to see what happens and what that does.
Document, notebook web view content frame, document, hello, I see, null section.
So it looks like that opens up a new frame. If we look at it in browse mode, yeah, it's a little preview frame. And it's quite a ways away from where the actual editor is. I'm just scrolling up here and just going to see what else.
Add code cell out of toolbar, notebook cell completed. PTR, inspect in the accessible view, alt window zoom. Tab move focus. Screen reader optimized, spaces 4, screen tab window zoom. Editor content edit out of editor toolbar, execute cell out of tool 1. Toolbar delete cell, DD out of tool split cell, can execute above out of toolbar, frame notebook web view, out of frame toolbar base. Okay, fascinating. So it actually for screen reader users, the result of the cell is actually above the cell. Very interesting. So if we were to be in this frame and we hit control up, that does work. It takes you back to the editor. So really what you're meant to be doing is you run your cell, you then hit your control down arrow, and then if it's a lot of content, you'll probably want to jump into browse mode and see how that goes. And then once that is done, you jump back into focus mode, hit control up arrow, you're back in the editor. So that's kind of cool. Now let's try to do that with a couple of cells in a row. Let's see how that would go. So how do we make a new cell? Is there a hotkey for that? I see. Type the name of a command list.
Cell.
65 results. Add cell tag. 6. Add cell tag. Edit cell tags. Jupyter. Focus on cell tags. Use Jupyter. Restart kernel and run all. Jupyter. Restart mark cell as parameter 6. Notebook. Accepted. Notebook. Add empty cell to notebook. File notebook. Accept detected language for cell. Shift plus alt plus notebook. Cell cursor page down. Page down 9 of 66.
Okay, yeah, cell cursor page, cell cursor page down select, cell cursor page up,
Control plus L13 notebook. Change cell language 14 of 60.
There's a lot of cell like things here you can do. Change cell to markdown is not something looks like you can just do.
Collapse all cell inputs 17 of 66.
We can collapse these. Like, it's good to see what commands you have available to you. At this point, we don't really need most of them, but it's good to have them. You can collapse all sort of things. Like, assumingly, if you do that, it's going to get rid of all the stuff visually. I don't know what would happen for a screen reader user. Like, for example, Control K, T would collapse the output. Let's give that a try, actually. I'm curious. Would that drop the entire frame?
Read only.
We just did it? Can I now go into the thing still? Yes, I can. And it does look like it's still there for screen reader users, so that's interesting. It doesn't seem that those do much, unless me trying to access it just now reopened it. That's possible. But yeah, that's the thing that you can apparently still do as a screen reader user, so that's pretty good. So what else can we do here? Let's just scroll this down and we'll just go like add cell below or something. Let's see what else we can do here that's helpful for screen reader users in particular. You can duplicate a cell with Shift Alt down arrow. That's pretty good. If you have cells that do very similar things, you just make small changes. You can easily just make different cells with very similar content like this. You can do that both up and down. That's really just what you like. Cut, well, cut a cell. Like it's pretty simple right here. It looks like a lot of these are like single letter keystrokes. I'm wondering if those will work in the list of cells. We'll have to play with that. This becomes a lot more vim than I thought it would. So yeah, it looks like it. So these seem to all work from the cell, because if I'm looking at these, for example, edit cell is enter. So that stands to reason that all these other ones that I just saw, X for cut and D for delete, those should work in that same list, I'm assuming. We'll have to see how the screen reader handles that, but it's cool that it actually has that. So it has execute above cells, execute cells, control alt enter, execute cell and below. So there's a lot of like granularity in what you can execute when and when you want to. I'm just looking what else we got here. Expand all inputs, expand all outputs, all that stuff is here. That is good. Control home will take you to the first cell. That's also good to have. Focus inactive cell output is control down arrow. Now it's good that this is an actual hotkey. So if you don't like that hotkey, control down arrow, it is a legit full-fledged VS Code command. So you can go into your keyboard settings and just change that hotkey to something else if that's what you want to do. I see so many interfaces where you can't change anything that's like relevant for accessibility-minded things, and this is a really good one. I mean, if you want to just, you know, slam your face on the keyboard to do this, and you can do that deterministically. First, that's an awesome skill to have, and second, you can do that. Control N for last cell, focus text cell editors, Control Alt page down. Oh, that's next, not text. I need to learn how to read. Let's see. Yeah, all this stuff seems to be fine. You can seemingly, yeah, Control Alt up and down will jump you between editors. That's cool. You can fold cells. Not really sure how that would help, what that would do for screen reader users. Let's see. Insert code cell below. It does not currently have a hotkey connected to it. However, there is a thing, insert code cell below and focus container, which appears to be mapped to B. So let's try if that works. If we just go in here, we stop editing, we go back to the list of cells. Okay, what I'm noticing is that doesn't always neatly route focus. I'm not sure why that is, but that's something they should probably fix. Okay, yeah, so it took me a little bit of wiggling to get that list to show up, but I managed to do it by like escaping at the right place. That is a bit of a bug that should be fixed to be more consistent. But if we now hit the B key, we should, in theory, get a new cell added for us and then focus it on it.
Cell 1, code cell 2 of 2, level 1.
It did do that. It makes a new cell. It seems to also neatly work with screen readers in the sense that it does focus the new cell. Not in editor mode, like it just sort of jumps you to it, which means that I should probably be able to go up here and delete this cell with D. That does not appear to...
Cell 0, code cell...
No, that doesn't seem to be working. Oh, I had to do it twice. For some reason I had to press it twice and that did it. Interesting. So now if we edit this cell, we have an empty cell with nothing in it. Yeah, that works. Okay, beautiful. So if I now make, say, a loop. So what, while... Only to make a variable. Let's just do counter. Counter equals 0.
Counter equals 0, while counter less 5. Inspect this in the accessible view, Alt plus F2.
Yeah, that's about what I was going to do. So sure, AI, you can add that.
Editor content editor as autocomplete multi-line counter equals 0. Pressing
Oh, I guess it didn't. How rude. Oh, well, that's fine.
SHS list one of
While
content editor as autocomplete multi-line one. Counter plus equals 1. Print while counter equals 0.
so we got an AI suggestion that added while counter is less than 5, print hello world, counter plus equals 1. So essentially, print hello world 5 times. Let's make that a little bit more interesting.
Print hello world while counter less 5.
What shall we do? See how fast this is. Let's make it count to like 1 million or something.
5 inspected.
I fully expect this to crash my screen reader, but let's see how it does with like bigger
Counter less 1 million. Print hello world.
thing. Let's just spam hello world for the world to see. Let's go.
Cell 1, code cell 1 to 1 level 1. Cell 0, code cell executing.
Okay, so that would not... My fan spun up there for a second. That's kind of fun. I guess that tells you a lot about how warm it is in this room, because that really shouldn't be that hard. But if we now go look at the control...
Document, notebook, web view, content frame, document, hello world, 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 output is truncated. View as enable scrollable output, or open and open, output and text editor, dot adjust cell output, notebook output settings, section.
Okay, cool. So it truncated my output at some point, and it says hello, hello, hello. Oh, there's actually an ellipsis in the middle there. Reminds me of that cartoonish thing where like someone is doing the same thing over and over. And you see that ticking clock for a few seconds, and then like see the end of it. So it says output is truncated. View as enable scrollable output, or open in a open output in text editor. Adjust cell output, notebook output settings. Okay, so it's a little bit rough in the and how some of these have been grammared. What is the best browser for, in your opinion? Asks Pressure Jaguar. That's a good one. It really depends on what you're doing, I think. Like I myself, unfortunately, tend to use Edge for a lot of things, and that really is just because I opened it one day, opened a shit ton of tabs in it, and now I just keep closing them. And my sort of resolution is that once I've closed all my tabs in Edge, I'm going to switch away from it, because ugh. As for the best web browser, like Firefox is loudly like considered to be the best like non-Chromium browser. The problem with Firefox is that as of late they have been adding a bunch of questionable things to their roster. Like there is an AI feature that some people don't like, and there is an ad firm that Mozilla bought the other week. So, you know, people are a little cringy about the fact that the privacy-conscious web browser now has an ad creator as essentially a daughter, like the subsidiary company. So that's not great. Chrome is Google, so if you don't like Google, don't use Chrome. I hear good things about Vivaldi. Vivaldi, unfortunately, is not very accessible for screen reader users, but it does work for a lot of other people. So Vivaldi might be something to check out if you don't like the big three. Opera is Chromium, so it's basically the same as Edge, Chrome, and Brave would be. Welcome in, by the way. I know you already said something, but that was your little first chatter view thing because Firebot was asleep at the time. But Opera apparently is pretty usable. Don't know what they've been doing lately. I think I tried it a few years back and it worked okay. I just got an email. You all heard that. Oh no, you wouldn't have heard that because that's in my browser. I got an email. That's fantastic. But yeah, Opera should be fine-ish. It's really the websites will generally be okay. It's really everything else. Yeah, no, Opera did a big switch, I think around 2018, 2019, and they switched to a Chromium core, and ever since it's been okay. Obviously, the web browsers will work, the websites will work fine, and then the everything else is where it usually gets a little tricky. But yeah, we'll have to see. The eyes, of course, are all on Ladybug right now. Ladybug is a new upcoming browser that is being made with funding from a bunch of very rich people. For as far as I'm aware, there is no accessibility features just yet, and there was also a whole bunch of hubbub about the fact that apparently putting they instead of he in a documentation page that's apparently too political to not have he there, but they or some other pronoun. So honestly, not a great look, not a great start. Not sure what to think of that. I'll have to see how that progresses. I don't know if there are going to be accessibility things. Brave, people loved Brave, and then the creator of Brave did something apparently really bad, and now people don't like it. And let me see what Brave did. I was just googling in a browser. You guys can't see. I just want to see a summary. Why are people pissed at the Brave browser? People. Yeah, that's really how I Google things. Why do people in this sub hate Brave? There you go. Our browsers. Let's see what the top comment is, because Reddit always has the right answers. If you need to answer a question, particularly when it's like nuanced and political, look it up on Reddit. What I see, what people are saying is more Chromium is not a good thing. It's as much a privacy browser as NordVPN is marked as a perfect extension of VPNs. Shady decisions such as injecting their own referral links take out BATs, and Brave would never be talked about ever. Yeah, BATs, from what I'm understanding, are like their little crypto thing. As I understand it, I might be wrong. I think that's what it is. But yeah, there's just a couple things, and apparently the Brave people were like nasty to a couple of people, and like that went viral, from what I understand. So yeah, a lot of people don't like them very much currently. But yeah, overall Brave, I've used it for a while. I was annoyed by the fact that when you switch computers, it's a bit of a headache to get your stuff over from one to another, which kind of is the point of Brave. They're like the whole, we don't store your stuff. And I think it like involved scanning a QR code with a phone and then sending it over or something weird like that. Or like some weird seeds string that you then have to, you have both computers on. And it does some kind of like weird Resilio like sync across from one computer to another. And it seemed really like awkward at the time. But that was in 2019, so take that with a grain of salt. It may very well have changed by now. I haven't looked at Brave in a few years. It's not terrible, though. It's pretty good, from as far as I'm understanding it. Alright, so basically what we saw with this little experiment here, the code, is that if you just give it enough output, it's just not going to let you. It's going to say is truncated. You might want to scroll this down or use a different output setting. Yeah, there's really not that much else to say about Visual Studio and notebooks. Like, we noticed it last week in the Google Colab thing. Like, it's a very similar concept to the Jupyter Notebooks, obviously. The point is... You're fine. I like questions. Like, it is definitely AMA for a reason. But yeah, like at this point, the accessibility of this user interface, we've seen most of it at this point. Like you have your control up and control down. That's a nice touch. Your like escape and enter is also a nice touch. These are both things Colab and Jupyter Notebooks don't have. And for the rest, that's really all you can really do. Like the rest of it's just a rinse and repeat of other things that we've already seen. Like the cells have inputs and outputs. Markdown cells most likely will be rendered out. Let's try that out. Let's make this a markdown cell.
Speech mode. Cell 0, markdown cell 1 of 1 level 1. Counter equals
So
0,
now this is a
counter
markdown cell, and it looks like you get a little bit of a preview of what's in the markdown cell in this list. That's a good idea.
editor, content editor has auto
So if I now open this up and
counter
close
equals 1,
and delete all this, we just, I don't know, make a thing here where I don't know, make a little thing. I see null stream as a heading 1. What up? We be streaming. Let's make the streaming bold with 2 asterisks on either side of it. There we go. And now we have a little thing, and we can make a link. Let's do follow me on Twitch or YouTube. And we'll put like the URL for Twitch here. I see. No. There we go. So does it instant preview this? No, it does not. Okay. Why it said Charlie? Because I have like a tiny spell thing that's trying to tell me I'm making spelling mistakes, even though I'm not. All right, so we're once again in this weird place where sometimes it just doesn't quite know where to go. So if I want to, do I have to run this before I can see the preview? Is that what this is?
Cell 0, markdown cell, I see, no stream, what up, we stream and follow me on. No next frame, frame notebook web view content frame, I see, no stream heading level 1.
Yeah, so you have to run the cell and then it renders the markdown. Very cool.
What up, we stream and link, follow me on Twitter, YouTube.
And then I'm assuming if I were to click this link, it's going to go to Twitch and Edge. Or does it open it in a browser? Let's see.
Ignore Twitch and 101 more pages.
Yeah, that opens it in... Oh no, an ad. That opens it in the browser, like your default browser. It's not even like an Edge web view or something stupid like that. It's your actual browser. It opens this in. So this is the more notebooky side of notebooks, where you can actually add your notes to what you're doing, or explanations or tutorials or things like that. And I'm sure that some people use this as like a notebook equivalent, where you can just literally put your notes. And if you have code that you want to add to this, you can just put it in a code cell, which is really good. For example, if you want to make a coding tutorial of some kind, like you can literally just have, say, you know, an explanation of what variables are in Python. And then you have a code cell right below it that just has the code for whatever exercise you're doing in it. And people can just import that notebook or open it in Jupyter or whatever, and you can just change the code around, play with it, very Codecademy style. Yeah, you can see what happens after. It's very simple. It's very just sort of off the cuff. And I think it's a great way to do coding textbooks of some variety. I think this might work in... This is what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of different... Like, this is Python we're using right now, but I've seen, like, React. I've seen Julia. Not all of them, like, sponsored or endorsed by Jupyter, for sure. I don't think the React one was. And, yeah... This is cool in the sense that you can just have this be a thing, and a lot of university courses are starting to use these, so this is good that you can at least have a quick accessible way of doing it. And I think this is the most accessible out of the bunch so far. Now, obviously, this would not let you, I don't think it would let you connect up to like a Colab instance. I think what you'd have to do is export the notebook somehow and then import it into Colab. So that is a little tricky. I think if you want to work with Google Colab, you'll have to use their interface for the most part, but there may be some kind of way to sync those up. I don't know. That'd be fun to look into as like a capstone project. Let's actually have a Google about that. Let's have a look. Use VS Code notebooks on Google Colab. Is there an extension that does that? Let's see. How to use Google Colab with VS Code. There's an article on Free Code Camp. All right, let's see. See if we can bring the two together. That would be kind of cool, actually. So it says, yeah, blah, 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 blah. I'm just reading really quickly. In data science, if you're a Python developer, blah, blah, blah. But did you know that you can set up VS Code on Google Colab and use it as an editor the same way as in your local machine? I did not know that, actually, so let's try that. In this article, you will learn how to install the Colab Code Python package. Okay. How to start VS Code server, how to access the online VS Code, how to open the terminal, how to run a Python file, blah, 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 blah. All right, so let's see what it says.
The first step is to launch a new Colab notebook in your Google Colab. You can rename the file as you want. For example, run scope.even. Heading level 3 install Colab Code Python package. So
you have to add a Python package to your Colab notebook. Interesting. And then what are the steps? You install that, you import Colab code in the notebook. Create an instance of Colab code. After importing Colab code, you need to create an instance of Colab code and set the following arguments. So you'd have to set a port. Fair enough. I port 10,000, for example, as the officer. We have a password we can set. Doesn't look like that's mandatory. And then we have mount drive. If you want to use your Google Drive, this is a Boolean argument. So okay. This is an optional argument, and then, okay, so you set all that up. There's this one line, collab code. It's just a constructor for a Python thing. And then, yeah, the code server starts. And there's a link. Oh, okay, so okay. I see. So that doesn't link up to your local editor. It opens a new tab with like the interesting with the VS Code stuff in it. I wouldn't know if that was if that would work the same way, honestly.
Server instance is continuously running. Don't close your Colab notebook unless server that runs VS Code. Heading level 2 tips to use VS Code on Google Colab. After launching the code server, use the following tips to help you start using VS Code on
Okay,
Google.
let's give that a try. You know what? We're kind of out of material here. Let's see if we can work around Google Colab's slight accessibility issues by doing it this way. Let me open a Chrome tab here and just do that. This is an interesting little side trail. I didn't think I was sort of saying that as a let's see if that works kind of deal, but it actually seems like it's viable, and I want to see how good it is. So we would need to put Chrome on the screen. Currently, you guys don't see anything. Let me fix that real soon. I'll just close all my porn before I do that. Nah, it's just a couple of bucks. Two-factor authentication, super riveting. That's that's definitely gonna get me going. No. Let's see here. Are there people who are turned on by 2FA procedures? I wonder. Like, I know there's like I think there was a thing about like getting turned on by bureaucracy or something that I saw the other year. Not my thing, though. Where is... Because I think I still had a Colab instance open, actually. This is GitHub. This is also GitHub. I know you guys can't see it yet. Bear with me here. Google. Is that the only thing we have? No, there's 2 Googles now. Good enough. All right, so let's put this on the screen. There's nothing questionable. There wasn't to begin with, but hey. Doxing and all that is a dangerous thing. You don't want that to happen if you can help it. So we want to put this on Chrome. Use Chrome. And the idea is to go to Google Colab here. This is in Dutch. Bear with me. It'll go to English in just a second here. There. So, yeah. We are now on Google Colab. We need to make a new notebook.
Upload search notebook. Enter a search string to fill up GitHub. Upload search. Enter a refresh list. Clear history. Recent notebooks. Title. Last opened. First opened. Actions. 6 results. Link welcome to Colab. Row 3 title column 2 visited link market at jetpack.ippen. Row 4 visited link generating piano music with transformer.ippen.
So these are some of the things that we did last week.
Row 5 visited link speech command recognition. Row 6 visited link Colab 11 YUL example. Row 7 link untitled 0.ippen.
I don't think we did much with this one. So let's have a look with this notebook here. It's loading it now.
Notebook main landmark. Cell 0. Code cell region. Editor.
Yeah, let's just print hello world. So can we just pip? I think it needs an exclamation point, right? So pip install... What was it? Colab code. Run.
Warning dialog. You may be executing code that is disallowed, and this may restrict your ability to use Colab in the future. Please note the prohibited actions specified in our flag. Content info landmark. Content info landmark. Cancel execution.
Now that's
anyway.
That's very encouraging. Let's try it anyway. Let's go.
Colab document notebook. Out of editor cell 0 output region hello world. Out of region link Colab paid products link cancel. Runtime status bar region initializing Python 3 Google Compute Engine backend connected to Python. All changes saved.
Saving. Okay, it just did it.
Cell 0 downloading Nestasensio 1.4.35. Collecting UVcorn equals 0.13.1.
So it's downloading all the things UVcorn. That's like the web server.
Downloading UVcorn 0.45. Collecting Jupyter Lab equals 3.
Jupyter Lab. So it's setting this whole thing up. Very cool.
Collect 10.0 requirement Jupyter Lab equal collect out of runtime out of all navigate next. Monitor navigate next. Run navigate system nav list x error out of link Colab paid products. Cell 2.22. 5 greater equals 1 requirement already satisfied. Pick perseverance 5 2 installing collected packages. Pinrock Nestasensio Son 5.
So what I got? Pingrock, a PyNG rock. Very cool.
2.22. Installing collected packages.
What is it? Nestasensio, JSON 5, Jedi, H11, Click, UVcorn, Notebook, Jupyter Lab server, NB Classic, Jupyter Lab, and Colab code. Okay, attempting uninstall Nestasensio. Okay, something's not quite going right. Oh, okay, so it found a different version.
1.6.0. Successfully uninstalled Nestasensio. Attempting uninstall. Click. Found it uninstalling success attempt. Found it uninstall success attempt. Found it uninstall success error. Install this error. Pips dependency resolver does not currently take into account all the packages that are saving. All changes saved. Installed. This behavior is the source of the following dependency conflicts. Flash 2.2.5 requires click greater equals 8.0, but you have click 7.1.2, which is incapacitated to distribute the other one. Google Call Pip Tool 6.1 Typer 0. Successfully Jupyter Notebooks set out of region. Link cell Jupyter successfully installed. Click 7.1.2 collapse. Speech mode off.
Oh, promotion of my channel. Amateur Hound. Well, that's so nice of you. I really, really appreciate that. And I have a present for you. I have a present for you. Get banned. There you go. Okay, so it says it installed everything. It also shows a couple of warnings. I'm not sure if this is going to go right, but let's find out. So we need to import this, I'm guessing. Let's make a new cell. Do we actually need this anymore? Actually, not sure if we still need this. So let me just remove this bit. And we'll do import collab code. And we'll do, what is it? Collab code port equals 10,000. Oh, I don't think it does that many ports.
Collab code port equals 100,000.
Pretty sure it doesn't go over 65,535, so that would not work. But 10,000 does work. Now let me just make sure we got the capitals right. So yeah, that looks right. Collab code is title cased, and then the import is.
The next heading level 3 of the next step is to import from collab code. Import collab code.
Oh, okay, they've done it like that. Okay, so let's make it a from instead. Right now we have an import statement. Let's make it a from. So we do from collab code. No, from collab code. I always forget how this works in Python. Collab code small import. Collab code with 2 capital C's. That's like the title case thing, if I remember correctly. There. And if we now run this, with a little bit of luck, we should have a link that we can press to go do this. Let's have a look what this says, what this does.
Speech call out of editor. Cell 0 output. Read name error trace back. Most recent call last.
Uh-oh.
Link with an input 1 from greater 2 call. Name error. Name collab code is not defined.
Collab code is not defined. Oh, I mistyped the capital. Here, down here. My bad. I need this C to be capitalized. Let's try it again. All changes saved. Yet better. Let's see.
Collab code port equals 10,000. Collab code out of editor. Cell 0 output region. Out of region. Out of region link collab paid products. Link cancel console cell 0 output region. Out of region. Editor content press alt plus F1 for accessibility options.
Okay, so far nothing.
Collab code port collab code. Collab out of cell 0 out of region. Cell 0 output region. Out of region. Runtime status start. Out of region mode. Full is runtime status unavailable busy. Close. Out of region mode. Runtime available connected. Completed at 9:59. P20 freeze. Save out of region. Mode runtime status star region 20 freeze. All changes saved. Out of link collab paid products. Link cell 0 code region explain error. Next steps. Cell 0 output region frame mode. Full link HTTPS. Link HTTP requires grok 400 399 grok process.log 4.
Whoa.
Grok process error on start. Authentication failed. Usage of grok.
The ng-rock process errored out. Authentication failed. Uses of ng-rock requires a verified account and auth token. Sign up for an account. Dashboard.ngrock.com sign up. So it looks like we did it right. It just doesn't like the fact that we don't have a token. Is that in the installation instructions? Because I don't think it was. That's what I did.
Level 3 import collab code. The next from heading after importing collab code, you need to create an instance of car bullet port to port you want.
So yeah, basically it wants us to supply a token. Right now I'm not going to stick any auth tokens in this thing because it's right out there in the open. So I'm not really sure what changed since this was written. Yeah, so you can open a terminal, change the theme, run a Python file. So this does look like it's viable. I'm just not super sure if it's still doable. I'm assuming it is. Can I see when this was written? I can. Okay, this is a couple years old. So this is apparently worked fine in August 2021. And ever since that happened, something changed. Let's actually go look at the collab code GitHub, see if that's actually been maintained at all. I'm assuming there is a GitHub. Yeah, there is. It's by Abhishek Kratur. Abhishek K.R. Thakur. Okay, let's see if there's like more up-to-date instructions in the README here. Let's see. The latest commit was 3 years ago. Uh-oh, that doesn't bode well. Let's have a look. This may have just fallen on its ass, honestly. Uh-oh, my keyboard isn't working anymore. Did it run out of juice? I think it may have. Yes, it did. Aw, heck. Cable? Anything? Hang on. Let me dig out a USB-C cable here. I didn't charge my keyboard, and this is the sad part of it. Look it up. So yeah, any other things I can show off? I could show off a couple like VS Code related things. I could show off how the diff editors work, for example. That's a pretty interesting experience, even if it's just for my own clip possibilities. I'll check out this README, but I think it's 3 years old. I think it's just no longer a thing you can just do. It's probably like changeable. Like you can probably set an authentication token for Pi and grok somehow, and then it works fine. We just don't actually call that package directly, so I'm not really sure if you need to do that from the package perspective or if you can do it from Colab code somehow. I'll have to go look. But yeah, it is a cool idea in any case.
Visa chats 3 of 160.
Okay, yeah, it looks like my NVDA decided to go the way of the dodo. Let's fix that. Yes. You're a very good boy. Now, come on. Let me see. Let's make sure everyone can actually understand what's going on.
Banner landmark navigation menu heading level 2. Main landmark full latest installation getting started. It's link permalink. It's $pip install collab code. Copy. Run code server on link Google Colab or link Kaggle notebooks. Heading level 2 getting started. Link Colab code also has a command line script, so you can just run collab code from command line. Collab code H will give the following. Usage collab code H. Port. Password. Mount drive.
So yeah, it's very similar to what we saw in the other document. There's just no... You're not supposed to be doing this anymore, it looks like. I don't know if there's a newer version of it, but yeah, this looks like it's a dead end. It's a cool idea though. So basically what that would do is it would create the same VS Code that you would see in, say, I think it's vscode.dev, like the little, and I think it's in code spaces as well, in GitHub code spaces. So yeah, it looks to be a bit of a dead end. Let's see, what time is it? We've been going for about an hour. Let me just look at a couple of random VS Code bits then, because it really is all I can say about VS Code's notebook support. It's there. You can use it. I would recommend it over the alternatives we've looked at. I would recommend it over Jupyter and Google Colab so far, unless, of course, you're doing something that requires Google Colab's resources. Like, if you need to run a GPU, for example, you'll obviously want, and you don't have a GPU, you want to use the Google Colab stuff, you obviously want to make sure that you're using their stuff. In that case, if you don't want to use their things for whatever reason, or not too much, what you could do is just make a make a notebook, like a test, like an MVP in Visual Studio Code first, and then I guess you can export that IPYNB, and I'm pretty sure there's a way in Colab to import one. So at that point, you just have to do that. It's not really hard to do. Let me see if I can actually find anything more recent about that whole using Colab with Visual Studio Code thing. This article we just looked at. So yeah, this is all in 2021. What? Oh, look at this. This is new. There is a package by Derek Chaya called Colab-VS Code. Is that an add-on? What is that? Let's have a look what that is. Bridge and GitHub. Last commit was 6 months ago. It's a lot more promising. All right, let's have a look what that does. Quick start. So what is this? Blah, blah, blah. Their little talkie says... Ever wanted to use VS Code to run your code instead of Google Colab? What? Yeah, okay. Wait, that looks to be the other way around.
Speedly ever wanted to use VS Code to run your code instead of Google Colab? Now you can. Run the following. Link Colab Notebook to generate a VS Code environment. You will have full terminal access to run your Python scripts together with pip to install your packages. Even better, you get to access GPU acceleration when you select the GPU runtime. Heading level 2 quick start. Link permalink 0. Get ready your Grok authentication token. Copy your link Grok authentication token to your link sign up for a Grok account.
Okay, so this is actually doing the exact same thing the other people were doing, but more meant to how you be doing it. I'm not going to be doing it here because I need to make like an angry NG Rock account and I don't have that, so bad.
1. Click on the link Google Colab below. 2. Run the cell with Grok authentication token. 3. There is no step 3. Link graphic open in Colab. Heading level 2 step-by-step instruction. Link permalink. Link graphic 1. Link graphic 2. Link graphic 3. Link graphic 4. Link graphic 5. Link graphic 6. Heading level 2 about.
So there's your instruction. Link graphic 1, link graphic 2, link graphic 3. What do these do? If I just click one of these, does it open an image? You guys can't see this, I realize. But I... Okay.
Main landmark menu collapsed submenu more edit options. Collapse code /images/3.png of main direct. Speech mode off.
So yeah, we have step-by-step instructions, which are 6 screenshots. Thank you so much, Derek. I love you, Derek. Except not really, Derek. You made my life harder, Derek. But yeah, we're not doing that today. It's going to be a little bit more too much overhead for me right now to go do that off the cuff. So I might do it at some point later. That brings the question. Like, I guess next week we'll be doing a little bit more infosec because we haven't done that in a minute, and it's been too long. I want to get some. Oh, someone triggered my coffee command. Hello. Wait, who triggered coffee?
Speech mode talk. Speech mode off.
Oh, yeah, it was you. Like, I got the response sooner than I got the actual thing. Thank you for the coffees check, Cyber Nerd Dante. Oh, it's you. It's Dante's fancy. I forget. Derivatives. That's it. Dante's derivatives. Welcome in, Cyber Nerd Dante. We're doing the last bit of VS Code notebooks today, and that's the VS Code implementation, which we pretty much finished. So I'm actually going to do some random tidbits of VS Code stuff that I found over the years. That's really been helpful. One thing I want to show off is how they've done diffs, because diffs is one of those weird things that no one seems to know a good answer to.
Speech mode talk.
Let me go do that. Let me close this. We don't really need this anymore.
Fire Google Chrome, Fire Colab, NVOps, 30 NVIDI,
where did code go? Oh, there it is. Okay, so we can close this. We don't really need this anymore. There, I will put VS Code back on the screen because we don't need to see Chrome anymore. I need to figure out a better way to do this. There we go. I say it at every stream and I still haven't. Okay, so code. Here we are. I have 2 files here, and this says hello bear, and it makes a little noise. And let's first look at what we're looking at. So we have test file number 1 that says hello deer, and test file number 2 that says hello bear. So we have one letter that's different. Let's see how we would compare these two, because if you're going to make a pull request, obviously you're going to have to look at these 2 things in tandem, and this is where it often goes wrong, because really you have like different colors to indicate this is a change. You maybe have it like on the left and on the right, and a screen reader can only see one thing at a time, right? So let's just see how VS Code solved that in a sense. It's certainly one way to do it. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the best way to do it in every step of the execution, but let's just give it a look, see how they did it. You kind of need to know the hotkeys as well, which
Reveal in File Explorer, Shift, open and integrate artisan MISC submenu, select for compare 6 of 15, open timeline 7 of 15, select.
So the first thing you're gonna need to do is to compare these. Like the easiest way to do that is to right click the files and do select for compare.
Files Explorer 3.
This first one, file 1, which had hello deer in it. And then here's test file 2, which has hello bear in it.
Open with 2 of reveal in File open and integrated artisan MISC sub compare with selected 6 of 16.
And we do the compare with selected, which is on the same place in the menu.
Select for compare 7 of 16.
But there's also a select for compare on the one below, which I'm assuming means if you want to compare like more than 2 things at a time.
Main landmark, use Alt plus F. Hello bear. Hello bear.
So now we have hello bear, and that's all we have. And a lot of people sort of fall off here. They have no idea what actually just happened. And that's because VS Code has made the decision to initially only show 1 out of 2 editors, and to go to the other editor, you actually would need to first map a a key to switch from one to the other. That's kind of grump worthy because it's not really an ideal way to do it. But then you're not really meant to be looking at this too much anyway. What you're meant to be doing is press F7. One thing you can do, however, I'm going to turn speech off for a second because this is somewhat subtle.
Speech mode off.
But there is a little sound cue that plays when you hover, like when you land on a line that's either been deleted or added. And you can also have it be a spoken signal, but like by default, at least the way I have it set up, it's a little sound, and it sounds like this. And that is the added sound. So if you were to be in the other editor, the other side of this diff equation, as it were, you'd hear the deleted sound because the hello dear is going to be deleted by this file. And what you're really meant to be doing is press F7, which opens an accessible diff editor view. Let's do that. I press F7.
Accessible diff viewer. Use arrow up and down to navigate. List difference 1 to 1. Original line 1. 1 line change.
So there's a couple things it says. Your difference 1 of 1. Original line 1. 1 line changed. Modified line 1. 1 line changed. 1 of 4. So there's a couple of repetitive stuff here. Looks seemingly. But yeah, let's just go down here because we have some context that's now missing because we only have 1 line, but we'll see what happens.
Hello dear, original line 1 2 of 4 level 1. Speech mode off.
So that's the delete sound. Hello dear. It has a minus sign in front of it as well for people who have that being spoken. And hello bear is what would be added. So hello bear is added and hello dear is removed. And then there's a blank unchanged line below it. So basically what you're meant to be doing here is for every change, you get a little bit of context, usually a couple lines, and then you get the removed line and the accepted line. And I think if you shift tab here, can you accept or decline?
Accessible diff viewer. Toolbar. See user floor toolbar.
Well, no, not in this case because, well,
menu. Revert block 1 to 1.
There is not really anything you can do here. We haven't committed this. This is not Git. This is literally just looking at 2 files in tandem. But if you were to be in like a GitHub pull request or something, you could, at this point, like accept the change or revert it or like put a comment. So
toolbar close. Status bar.
Is this accessible? Yeah, kind of. So it's better than most things we have. A lot of the times what you would have to do is you'd have to sort of have your screen reader look for really specific color changes that indicate, okay, something's been moved, something has been added. And while that's all doable, it sort of put a lot of strain on the user to have to like write those scripts and do all sorts of other things, which is usually not very user-friendly. And that this is here, it's still not very intuitive, I would say. Like if you don't know to press that key, you'll be like just floundering, not really sure what's happening. But it's better than what we had, and honestly, if I say that, that should tell you just how bad things were. It was pretty... There was literally nothing to really do this, and now there kind of is. Like, it's still certainly something that we're iterating over, I'm sure. But, yeah, this is what we get. This is it. Now, what's cool about VS Code is that they definitely do have a lot of things that they do to make things a little easier, like the accessible view for various things. We've shown that off before in the... a long time ago in a stream, actually. It's on my YouTube channel still, at Blindly Coding. If you're not on there yet, please go subscribe to that. But that has a VS Code sort of semi-deep dive where we go over various things and just show off how we can get various things to work. Another hey follower, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Cyber Nerd Dante, look at that. I got a double follow from you on my YouTube channel too. But yeah, that's a really interesting thing. It's basically just sort of VS Code is one of those places. Like a lot of things are going web now. Like everything has to be on the web. Everything has to be in a Chromium shell. And that means that we have to sort of speed run the accessibility for web applications on a spec level, and it's not really being done. So a lot of people have to sort of Wild West their way through it. VS Code is one of the pioneers. The pioneers? We say pioneers? Pioneers? Is it potato or potato? Tomato or tomato? Anyway, those things, we don't really have a web equivalent for them yet. And what I'm seeing is a lot of React-based interfaces. you know, there need to be pull tips, there need to be things that open on hover, there need to be things that you click, but if you click them just a little bit longer, they do different things. Space characters need to be clicked because they might do something, and there might be a very slight color difference to indicate that a button is actually not a button, but it's a drop down. And if it's a drop down, there might be something else inside, like a drop down within a drop downception. So it can be a whole entire thing that we just don't really have patterns for yet, and VS Code has to sort of muddle it out as we go along. And I'm pretty sure they're working with people with a disability. Like, there is a channel, there was one on Gitter. I'm not sure if they're still where they're hanging out, but there used to be a thing on Gitter where there was like legit PMs, like, you know, asking for feedback, doing all sorts of things. And yeah, that's still happening, but I'm not sure if it's still on Gitter. I'm pretty sure it might still be there. They probably also do it in like GitHub issues. I definitely also see people yelling at them on Twitter, which is not always a great thing to do. Particularly if you're just mad and you want to get your madness out, basically just yell at a person. Usually the people who are manning a Twitter account like that, or an X account, or a Mastodon account, usually have nothing to do with the coding of things. They're just a random social media manager that has no idea what's even happening. So please don't yell at Twitter people or other social media people, please, unless you know it's the person that's actually making the changes. And even if it is the person that's making the changes, try to be a little bit somewhat polite and constructive. Just roaring at people really isn't going to help much a lot of the time. I would appreciate being sponsored and mass branded by Microsoft. Hey, just hint, hint, hint. But yeah, that's definitely something I would keep an eye out. Another really cool extension that I use for note keeping is called Dendron, Dendron. Now, unfortunately, it's no longer being maintained. It's sort of out there. It still works, and I think every so often they bump a version number or something, but they're not actively working on it anymore because it wasn't financially viable, which is really a shame because it was a really fun thing. And it's also one of the most accessible hierarchical note-taking personal knowledge management applications out there. Settler's not great. Obsidian's not great. Notion is terrible. Microsoft OneNote is okay. And amusingly, Cherry Tree on Linux is pretty good. Like, that's honestly was my favorite before Dendron came along. That doesn't work on Windows, though, and it doesn't sync to anything, so it's kind of mad. Neither does Dendron, to be fair, but you can stick that in a GitHub repo because it's all markdown files. Cherry Tree is some random SQLite database with a password on it. So that'll work, it's just not great. And it only works on Linux, which I don't mind Linux, it's nice, but also, I just want to open a note sometimes, just add to it. If I have to spin up a whole entire VM every time I want to make a note, that's not great for my note-keeping skills. So yeah, Dendron it is for me until it stops working, at which case I can fortunately just export stuff into whatever, because it's all just markdown files with a little bit of preamble. But yeah, Dendron, very nice note-taking application, like it a lot. If people want to check that out, it's there. Maybe that'll convince them to work on it more, but yeah. I use that when I, for example, work on offsec stuff, or when I'm like doing these try hack me rooms and I might make a note that I think will be applicable later. I'll just open Dendron. I open a VS Code with my Dendron workspace in it. I'll just find the note or make a note that's like relevant to that bit, and I'll just put it in there. And at that point, I can just find it again. Like it's pretty quick to get stuff in, but also pretty good to get stuff out. And I'm finding that's a bit of my problem with Microsoft OneNote. Like, it's easy to make notes, and it's pretty easy to organize them too, because you have like, what is it, pages within chapters and chapters within notebooks or something weird like that. But you can't really find a note quickly, I'm finding. Maybe I just don't know how to use it. Might be a PepCap problem, but yeah. That is something VS Code I use it for. I use VS Code for... I want to use it for different... I want to, like, at some point look how its hex editor is doing. Obviously, when you do reverse engineering, which is something that'll come up at some point once I'm good enough at it to really show it off. Currently, I'm not. But once I'm good enough to show it off in a somewhat, like, sustainable way, that is a really tricky one to figure out a good tool set for, because a lot of those tools are really inaccessible. IDA Pro works okay, and, like, Ollie debug is completely inaccessible. So is immunity debugger. WinDBG and like the Linux equivalent, what's it? GNU DBG, I think it's called. Those work-ish. They're just not very user-friendly, but they do work. And then I think there's VS Code has a hex editor too, and I think I yelled at them a couple years ago about not accessibility. And I think, and I could, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure I remember seeing some work had been done a couple of years ago, like a year or two after I made that comment. So I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's still happening. I have to go see. But yeah, because that is so visual, you have like columns running down the screen. It's like one giant table, basically. And while tables are great on the web, they're not so great on desktop to navigate through. So ideally, amusingly, a web UI would actually work really well for a hex editor, I think. I'd like to think. I don't know if there's any out there that do that yet, though. I know there is the thing that says like it's better for your retinas at 3 a.m. in the morning, which fair enough. But I think when I looked at that, it wasn't very accessible either. So yeah, that's definitely something I'm going to have to look into once we pick up the cybersecurity stuff again, which will probably be next week, honestly. I'm kind of done with this topic now. But yeah, that's VS Code. VS Code does a lot of different things. It can be a little overwhelming if you just want to like see all the things it can do and just start using it. Its little offshoot Monaco, which is like an editor that websites use. FreeCodeCamp uses it, for example. Because the editor itself is accessible, you can use that too, which is kind of cool. And yeah, that's kind of all I really have to say on this. Like, it's just not much else I can really say. I wanted to finish this series off by looking at VS Code notebooks. Tell you the truth, I could probably have crammed both VS Code and Google Colab into one big stream and make it a bit longer. Didn't think it would be this quick, or I would have done that last week. Lesson learned for me. But at this point, yeah, we're kind of done. Unless people have questions of things they'd like to see, of course. What we can actually do is look at... this is partially related, and this is, I think, the last thing I will do, is we'll look at this... there's this graphics calculator, this graphing calculator that's accessible called Dusmos. And that might be really fun to look at as like a sort of a set, like a closing piece to this. Is it Dusmos? Is that what it's called? Desmos? Let's see. Desmos accessible graphing calculator. Desmos is committed to making math accessible to all students. Yeah, I think it's Desmos. Desmos. So let's go look at Desmos. Fuck it, why not? All right. So Desmos. This is their homepage. Can I just go to like their... How does this look? We have a math tools thing. Let me put this on the screen. You guys can't see this right now. So we're looking at desmos.com. Where's Chrome? There it is. So we're looking at this. And there is a thing at the top that says math tools. I'm assuming that's where we want to look. We got a graphic calculator. We got a scientific calculator. We got a 4-function calculator, which I guess is just plus, minus, divide, and multiply. There's a test practice thing, a matrix calculator, not sure what that would do, and a geometry tool, 3D calculator. I'm not sure if all of these are accessible. Let's get started with the graphing calculator. Let's begin easy.
Desmos graphing calculator loading. Desmos graphing calculator expression list region. Expression 1 edit multi-line.
So the first thing we see is expression 1. I'm not at all a math type, but let's do 3x.
3x has graph. The audio trace. Press Alt plus T.
Okay, I didn't even start yet, but let's try that. Alt-T, the audio trace. Okay.
Graph paper. X-axis visible from -10 to 10. Y-axis visible from -3.018 to 3.018. Grid lines are visible. One audio traceable curve. Graph paper. Audio trace on. Use arrow keys to navigate. To hear the graph. Press H. To disable audio trace. Press Alt plus T. Expression 1 0 and intercepted X 0 Y 0.
What this I have to hear? What if I press H? Nothing is happening?
X 0.0 and intercepted.
Oh, I wonder if my Chrome sounds are off. Hang on.
Settings. Settings window. Search box. Find the setting edit. Desmos graph. Run type.
I think my Chrome settings are not. My Chrome is set in such a way that I wouldn't hear the sound. Let's fix that real quick before we do this. Because this is honestly a lot more comprehensive than I thought it would be. This is kind of cool. So let's see. Google Chrome. Yeah, that's the problem. Okay, let's put it here. No, not there. No, now you guys can hear it, but I can. There we go. Gable. Save me from Windows 11 GUI developers. F***ing hell. Okay, let's go. So we press H and nothing happens. I must be missing something.
X-axis visible from negative H. 3x H slider for H.
Huh?
H, X, 3. Expression 1, edit multi-line. 3,
so 3x,
3
Alt T.
X-axis visible from negative.
So it says press arrow keys to navigate. So here to press H. To disable audio trace, press Alt T. Okay.
X 0.2, Y 0.6. 0 and intercepted X 0, Y 0.
Okay, so if you use your arrow keys, it's going to tell you both x-axis new thing.
X negative 0.2, Y negative 0.6. 0 and intercepted X 0, X 0.2, Y 0.6. X 0.4.
Yeah, the only thing that's not working currently is that... oh, I'm dumb. It's not working because I made a mistake. Hang on. There.
Graph paper, X-axis visible from negative 10 H. 3, 8, X, 3. X. Graph paper, X-axis visible.
There we go. Sounds like a Mario Kart jump. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Okay, so 3x, that, I mean, it makes sense. It's a rising line. That's just how it would work. So let's disable this.
Audio trace off, expression list region, expression 1. Plus 2. 3x plus 2 as graph to audio trace, press Alt plus T.
So what does this sound like? Oh.
Audio trace off, expression list
I'm
region.
going to have so much fun with this. So this is kind of interesting. It sonifies your graph. Let's do something more difficult. X superscript 2 x squared plus 5 equals y
X squared plus
minus 3. I don't know.
X squared plus 5 equals y squared minus 3 as graph to audio trace, press Alt plus T.
So here's a fun story. Like, the reason I don't really know how to use this is because I never was able to use a graphing calculator. I don't know how these equations work. From like a literal basic perspective, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm literally just typing things up that I've seen in math textbooks, but I've never had this, like, I was never able to actually have the graphical side of this. So I don't know what I'm meant to be seeing. It's actually kind of fun to me. Let's see what this does. That's cool. And then you can use the arrow keys to basically just sort of zoom around on the graph. So if you go one right on the graph paper,
X 0.2, Y negative 2.835.
you can see that if you're at X 0.2, you'll be at negative 2.8-5 on this. I don't know how that would be helpful. Again, I was never able to use these tools in this way.
X 0, Y negative 2.828.
I'm assuming there's some way to zoom in and out so you can like go by whole and integers rather than 0.2. Actually, let's drop out of this for a second and let's see what's actually on this page, because we just got dropped right into the equation list. Is there some kind of tutorial for this?
Open graph, Control plus O.
So first thing we can do is open graph. What does that do? I'll take your word for that. Like, it sounds fun. Okay, so we got slope intersect form example. We got
form example link. Lines 2-point form example link.
2-point form example. We got a bunch of things here. Parable, standard form. Let's do a parable.
Parabola, standard form Desmos document. Toolbar, view site information menu secure. Parabola, standard form Desmos document. Graph paper, x-axis visible from negative 10 to 10. Y-axis visible from negative 3.018 to 3.018. Grid lines are visible. One audio traceable curve. Press Alt plus T for audio trace. Desmos graphing calculator. Open graph. Control.
Let's try it again.
Audio trace on. Use arrow keys to navigate.
So if you listen to this, a parable sounds like what I remember of a parable is it kind of is like a wave shape. It's like it's lower, then it goes up, and it goes back down. So I'm assuming that's what we're going to be hearing. Okay, yeah, all the way around. This one's upside down. But yeah, it's like it starts up, it goes down, and it goes back up. It's like a sort of an upside down arch, I would say. And that's really old. Like I've seen these when I was 12. Like they had like these graphs on swell paper that you could sort of look at, like as sort of an example. This is what it looks like here. Blindy, have a look. But I never actually used these in any kind of executable fashion. So it's really fascinating that they've made this, and no one... I think this has very much gone under the radar. A lot of people don't know this is here. I knew this existed back in 2019. I saw this zip by in my feed at some point. At the time, I didn't need mathematics tools, but yeah, it's here. It works. It's cool. Let's see what else we do. Like, I just want to see what else this can do. So we can add stuff here. We can... Whoa. Okay, we found a little bit of an accessibility bug here.
Hide expression 1. Out of open menu, expanded submenu, add item menu, region, add expression.
So I can add an expression, I can add a node, I can add a table, a folder,
out of region, unavailable, undo, unavailable, redo.
And an image. We can undo things, we can redo, we can edit the expression list, we can hide the expression list, all these cool things. Look at that, all the cool stuff that is happening. And then we can delete the expression. It kind of actually, this is more notebook-like than I expected. I'm getting a follower. Thank you so much for the follow. The real hierarchs, am I reading that right? Let me look at the thing in Braille. The superior format here. The real hierarchs. Yeah, welcome in. Appreciate you joining up here. If you're new, if you come from infosecstreams.com or some other sites that doesn't really explain what I do, I'm a blind streamer. I use a Braille display and screen reader to do things. I have no monitor connected, and I'm doing hacking tools, hacking courses, Python stuff, coding. I have some macOS setup streams planned. I have a couple of digital audio workstation stuff's planned if I can get that working on stream properly. Loads of things I'm doing, but without eyesight. So that's the whole gimmick that I'm going for. If you like that, stick around. If you don't, no one's gonna blame you. Let's see. What else can we do here before we pack it in for the night? Let's have a look. So, a lot of tutorials that teach math, like things like OpenStax and Math for All, things like that. I think even Khan Academy, they would have a little bit of trouble with showing up graphs because obviously you can't really tactile graph on a computer. That's just not something that's economically very doable. So this, making sort of a sonified version of it, is a great alternative, I think. Like, this would really be good in high school education, where I didn't have it and never learned the actual use of this and why it was helpful. I keep getting a notification that WhatsApp is looking for messages, and it's getting a little bit old. Let's see what else I can do here. Oh, there's nothing else here. Let's see. All right. Yep, looks good. All right, so I'm in the wrong browser. No, I'm not. Get out. There we go. So, yeah, it's only an applications role. I can see that in this case. Honestly, that's fine. Let me see if there's anything else we need to look at before we pack it in.
Add item, add note, add table, add folder, add image. Speech mode off. So yeah, the question policy is pretty low here, hierarchs. If you want to say something, definitely feel free to. Never recommend it. Never required, but it's something you're allowed to do. So, if you have any questions about how I do stuff, why I do stuff, when I do stuff, feel free to. Speaking of when I do stuff, tomorrow, just to prepare, like to pre-announce all this, tomorrow we're going to be doing some Diablo 4 on the other channel, I think.
I'm pretty sure that's still on Saturday. Apparently we're doing Fortnite. Fortnite apparently has a mod that is somewhat accessible. Don't know how well that's going to work, but we'll see. See anything else I need to look at here for the rest? It looks actually pretty notebooky in the sense that you have an expression list and you add expressions to it, and then you can render some kind of version of it. So this is actually more applicable than I first thought. But yeah, it looks like, okay, well, we got play and animation. Not sure what that would do.
Speech, play, a slider 1. Edit the limits. A slider 1, slider maximum 10.
Another follower. What's happening today? Liquidate, liquidate it. I guess you're wanting me to call you Liquidate it. Welcome to the show, Liquidate it. Do I have to explain to you who I am and what I do? Because I'm happily willing to do that. I'm wondering if you got sort of pointed to this by someone, but blind streamer, blind hacker, blind gamer, blind coder, blind everything, no monitor, no nothing. Screen reader dependent, braille display using, and showing off how all that stuff works, and essentially ranting at a bunch of people that don't make things accessible. If that's one of you, I'll be ranting at you at some point. So we got expression list. We got a slider here. What does this do?
Expression 3, D equals 0 edit multi-line.
Cool. Thank you so much for being here. So yeah, we're looking at Desmos right now, which is not a notebook, but it's kind of like one.
Expression 3, expression 2, expression 4, C, expression 5, edit multi-line. Expression 6, edit expression 7, edit multi-line.
Yeah, they definitely took some cues from Jupyter Notebooks. I'm seeing very similar...
Delete expression 7.
I'm seeing very similar sort of like interaction patterns. Arrows moving between the cells. I just don't think you need to run these explicitly. They just sort of run themselves once you type them in, and there are debounced announcements after a few milliseconds that tell you, hey, there's a graph now that you can audio trace, which is kind of cool.
Graph settings, controls region, graph settings menu, collapsed submenu.
What can we do here?
Graph settings region, display size grouping, display size, default radio.
So you can change the display size, can reverse contrast, we can braille mode. Braille mode?
Checked.
Yes, I want to see braille mode.
Braille mode grouping, Nemeth radio check 1 of 2.
Okay, do we want Nemeth or do we want UEB? Let's do UEB because I don't know how UEB looks.
6 key braille input checkbox not checked.
6 key braille input, that's not needed.
New examples link. Print checkbox checked.
Not sure what that is for.
New examples link. Print Cartesian grid toggle.
Cartesian grid, that's fine. Don't know why you would ever want to turn that off.
Polar grid toggle not pressed.
Polar grid.
Arrow checkbox not checked.
Arrows, not sure what that's
Axis numbers
for.
checkbox checked.
Axes numbers.
Minor grid lines checkbox checked. X-axis checkbox checked. Label edit x-axis e.gx.
Label X and AGX. Let's do time.
X-axis minimum 3 edit selected. Number hatch.
Yeah.
X-axis maximum.
Okay, so here you can set how large you want your graph to be. That's pretty helpful. I'm assuming you can set some kind of zoom level for the arrow keys as well. But let's just keep going here. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Like I couldn't really see if these were types or what this was. So yeah, that's fair.
X-axis step size 3 edit.
Okay, so here's your step size. Right now it's set to 3.
New notification from Push Bullet.
Shut up. Push Bullet needs to shut up. Let's see. X-axis step size. Let's make it 1.
Y-axis checkbox checked.
Y-axis. We'll make that time. Let's make that patience. So we're looking at a parabolic sort of line of patience over time. No idea what about. I hope if it goes down, I'm hoping, I guess it's like sort of a wave in reverse almost. This is very odd graph that we're making here, but that's okay.
Y-axis minimum 3 edit selected. Number C4 jaw.
Number C4 jaw.
Dash number.
That is
C4JAH.
Weird.
Label Y-axis minimum 3 edit selected. Number C4 jaw.
Yeah, not sure what JAH means here. I'm not sure why that's there, but
Y-axis
that's
maximum 3 edit selected.
fair.
Number C4 jaw. Y-axis step size 3 edit.
Step size is also, I'm going to make that 1 as well. So I'm assuming that's our zoom.
More options toggle not pressed.
There's more options you can set.
Radio check 1 of 2.
So not sure what that would be for. Angle settings.
Graph settings menu
Looks
expanded
good.
submenu.
Let's close
Collapse.
this.
Graph paper x-axis visible from -10 to 10 and is labeled time. Y-axis visible from -3.018 to 3.018 and is labeled patience. Grid lines are visible. 1 audio traceable curve. Press Alt plus T for audio.
So if we trace this, I'm assuming it's going to, instead of say X and Y, it's going to use our labels.
Audio trace on. Use arrow
Let's
key
see
to
if it does
navigate
that.
X 0.2, Y 1.04.
Oh, that's a shame. I wish it did that.
X negative. X negative. X 3. X negative 1, Y 2.
Interesting. So they've made
X negative 1, X negative 0.8, Y 1.64.
the color of the sound, like the timbre of the sound, is slightly different over and below, over 0 and below 0, which is kind of interesting.
X 0.2, intersect, X 0.
Do, 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 do. Sonic is dead. Anyway, let's still use the up and down arrow keys.
X 1.4, Y 2. X 1, X 1, X 1.2, Y 2.44.
It doesn't look like it's using our step size for the tracings. That's interesting. It's also not using our labels, which is also interesting. It does say when you're on the graph paper, it does say what the labels are, but I think I would like it better if it would just give me the labels when I'm tracing like this too. Let's do the whole entire thing.
X2.2.
So what does Braille mode do then? Does that show me the... Oh, I see.
Expression list region, egg number D edit C7 number. C7 number, egg number C edit D7 number J. Egg number B edit 7 number, egg number edit.
Honestly, I couldn't... Okay, this looks... This definitely looks different than what it normally be. I have Y...
Quote. Y.
Oh, that's a quote in Jupyter. Okay, so Y quote AX something.
Quote 7A. X A 7.
Oh,
quote,
okay.
Y.
So Y quote 7AX9?
X9. Number B.
Hashtag B quote 6 B X quote 6C. I'm not sure what the quotes are meant to be representing. I'm assuming it's like a way to get the Braille correct, but it looks kind of weird to me. Again, never seen this in an actual proper calculator. Maybe it's normal. But yeah, this is here. This exists. I think a lot of people should know this exists, and I'm glad I covered it now. But this is also kind of the end of the content I had planned today. So I think what I'm going to do is just call it a little bit early today. Next week, let me look for someone to rate while I explain this. Next week, what I want to do is do more Try Hack Me, because it's been a minute since we did that. And I, at some point soon, want to look at Hack the Box as well. Hack the Box Academy is a provider of certificates. They also have a lot of... like lessons to learn from, basically just like things that you can learn from. They like have all sorts of cool like rooms and things. Like Hack the Box are boxes that you do before, for example, the offsec. So that's Hack the Box itself, and then Hack the Box Academy is more Hack the Box. That's a practice ground for witches. No, Hack the Box Academy is this sort of... Hack the Box is often considered a little bit more hardcore than Try Hack Me is. Like, it doesn't hold your hand as much. And I think Hack the Box Academy is sort of their answer to that rumor. It's not quite as handholdy as Try Hack Me is. What it does do better is Windows audio support for the VMs that they use. Those actually talk, so you can use narrator on them. So that could be a reason to use them if you're dependent on accessibility, because Try Hack Me still hasn't fix the problems that I told them about a year ago. So in that sense, at this point, I get to make counter advertisements. Please sponsor me, Hack the Box. But yeah, I also have a couple of friends in the Dutch Hack the Box community, or at least people who know who I am. So I might be able to get some influential folks in here to sort of see my comments and maybe get some change happening. And Try Hack Me, I've tried. I've made a whole entire like free labor accessibility review of their Advent of Cyber event last year. They fixed a few small things, but really the main issues, which some of them are really easy to fix, and I have given them literally everything they need to do it. They just haven't done it. And I don't want to hear anything about small team and difficult and priorities and things. They have they have 3 million plus users. At this point, you can't get away with that kind of language. You're a small team, but you have a big user base. Figure it out. I'm sorry. I'm done being nice. Anyway, yeah, I want to check the Hack the Box out as well. That is a subscription only kind of, well, you know those MMO games where like you can play for free, but it's just a horrible experience if you do, and you have to wait a bunch for your energy to run back in, like to stop being run out, and like you can only play X minutes per day, and then you have to sort of wait or just watch an ad to get more energy. It's kind of like that, like in that you have cubes that you can use to unlock lessons, and then when you finish a lesson you get some cubes back, but last time I checked, at least, it was kind of leaning towards you're gonna have to stop at some point. You can't just blast through the content. You have to take it bit by bit, which for some people is good. If they get obsessed too quickly, that'd be a good thing to be able to like be forced to take breaks, basically. But if you just want to keep going, you're in the zone, you want to keep going, it is just easier to have a subscription which gives you X cubes per month. So you still sort of have that mechanism of stopping you if you go really mad with it, but it's just a little bit less annoying. I do have a subscription, and it's not expensive. I think it's like $8 to $10 a month. Like, it's not super expensive, but you know, this is another $8 to $10 a month you're spending on who knows what. So I can see how that might be financially challenging for some people. So like, you can do it. You could try it out for free at the very least, and then see how that goes. At least that's how it worked when I looked at this. Admittedly, that was in 2022, so they may have changed a bit since then, and I've just been meaning to catch up with it again. So try Hack Me probably next week. We'll see if we can knock out the web and the burp suite sections, because after that it's Metasploit, and Metasploit is a command line tool. Like, there's really not that much I can show off about that. Metasploit is Metasploit. Like, you find the stuff, you find the things, and then yeah, you just sort of go. It's all command line, so I might do a little bit on that, but we'll see. And then I think from there I might just go switch over to HDBA. In the meantime, I'm looking very hard for someone to raid, and I'm finding I'm having a bit of trouble. Like, what else is new? The person I keep meaning to raid is already gone by the time I get to him. It's kind of a shame, honestly. And then yeah, I'm waffling here a little bit. Sorry about that. It's kind of warm here, so that's also like not helping. Anyone have a person that's either playing like sort of quiet games, playing music, or doing tech stuff that you think needs some extra attention? Here is your call out. Let me know so I can give them the attention they deserve. In the meantime, I'm just going to see if I can find someone on Twitch. Programming, Twitch. Yeah, here we are.
Speech visited link heading level 1 programming. For Firebot v5.6 Firebot.
We got.
I see. No. 10:36 p.m. 9 program. 9 visited link graphic verified. 35.5k file visited link heading level 1 programming.
Holy balls, that's a lot of followers. I am looking for a bit of a smaller... Oh, programming is a channel. Okay, never you mind. That is funny. Software and game development. There you go. That'll do. Here's a category listing. Let's see who we can find. 11.4 thousand viewers. That's a bit rich for my blood, honestly. 360. Like, what is this? This is live channel. Yeah, live channels. Perfect. Let's see what we find. Marius Works. Tower Defense Challenge. Unreal Engine. Okay, they're making a game, I think. Interesting. Let's see what we can find.
Link 13, linked out, link 13, view link, linked out, streaming and 3i character survive a D&D campaign. TTS.
Oh, there you go. That's a fun one. Doug is doing can 3 AI characters survive a D&D campaign. TTS off. I mean, I don't care if you have your Viney Squirrel Hasalambo not bald are the tags. I have no idea where I'm sending you folks, but I guess we're going to see Doug. Doug. There we go.
Raid initiated.
So yeah, tomorrow, probably, Diablo 4 on the Xerxes channel. Saturday, probably Fortnite on the Xerxes channel. No idea if that's going to go anywhere, but we'll see. If that doesn't work out, we'll do something else. We'll figure out maybe God of War or something, or Spider-Man 2 if I can get stuck. But yeah, that's what I'm intending to do for this week. Next week, try Hack Me on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I don't know yet. Depends on how Diablo 4 goes tomorrow, I guess. Anyway, this has been fun. I need to go back to not being super hot in this room. And then tomorrow I'll be running around outside a bunch. Hope you guys are going to have a good week. If it's warm in your part of the world, please stay cool. Drink enough water. If it's not warm, stay warm. Because, you know, if you're in Australia or something, it's cold out there right now. With that, having said all that, I hope this was helpful. I hope this was educational. I hope it was cool that we got a couple of other projects included here. I'll put this on the YouTube. I'll add some links in the YouTube description for this one because it covered a couple things that I mentioned that didn't link to. Yeah, these are all archived in the live channel on the Blindly Coding channel. So if that's what you want to see like the rest of what you've missed,
10 seconds remaining.
Go look at that on YouTube and subscribe if you're over there anyway. This has been me. I hope you have fun with Doug, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Speech mode talk. Run dialogue.
Raid forwarded to Doug.
Folder view untitled and 103 more pages. Personal Microsoft. 10:3 homeless rats. Mainland O next. Fetchment 4 new. Right column complimentary landmark. Stream chat complimentary land. Jones 166. 1 month subscriber badge. Narichi. ARP. 10:521.
Holy fuck.
Spyro 0. Speech mode off.
What is happening in chat here? Someone is just spamming the fuck out of the chat.
Speech mode of send the mess out of edit. T send the mess ag. Willism. Rabbit stew. I am in the midst of Panic Robo 48. Willism. Dankage Lord 6 mainland graphic verified partner visited link live Zanoskity. My eyes are compliment left navigate follow channels grouping file record the main landmark stream graphic verified partner and for visited link software and games link tag main character link tires 9040 9802 potted conjun link tire streamer link tag 9802 hello 7,600,000 Chassis 2 cheer 1 unlinked tire streamer 9802 free homeless rats duck help cheer 1k badge Lego millionaire 8 the Pedro 9.
I just rated a channel with 10,000 viewers.